All right, good afternoon, everybody. I hope we're doing well out there. Today, thanks for joining me, and we're going to take a look today at our next generation Hobo data loggers. Let me just move a couple things around here on my screen, and we'll get going. We're very excited to introduce our new product line here in the UX100 series. I'll push that over. All right. So for today's agenda, we're going to take a look at the new product line, take a look at its compatibility, get into the specifics of the individual loggers, look at a comparison, see the features of the LCD on the product, and then we have some other features like start and stop and some new logging modes in statistics and burst. There's an alarm feature and mounting, and of course, we'll get into your questions here as well. Before we dive into the product itself, just a little bit about who Onset is. We do manufacture the Hobo data loggers. We've been in business since 1981. We have about 120 employees here. We're located in Bourne, Massachusetts on Cape Cod. And yes, we do have our power back after the lovely storm Nemo. And we've sold about 2 million data loggers, Hobo data loggers out there. And we do manufacture and design everything here on the Cape. And I do encourage you to, as questions come up here, please go ahead and type those in, and I'll try to adjust those on the fly. If not, we'll get to them at the end. So taking a look at the new product line here, the Hobo UX100 series, we have 5 different models. They're mainly temperature and humidity models. They range from $75 up to $189, depending upon which model you end up going with. And we have our single channel temp logger. We have a couple, these 3 units here are actually all temperature and RH, and I'll get into the differences and the accuracies and what they can do. And then we've introduced a single channel thermocouple logger as well. So we wanted to take a look back at where kind of the UX concept came from, and going back to the beginning, we want to make sure that all the features got put into the new product line. So we took a step back and said, okay, let's look at the first Hobo, which, as you can see there on the screen, came out in '91, and then kind of moving our way along here into the Stowaway product line and some of those H8s and what we refer to as the hockey pucks and the Pro Series. And then the U12 and U9 product line, the energy logger, the U10s that came out, and then finally, as moving forward into this next generation product line, in 2011 we originally released a 4-channel pulse logger. Last year in 2012 we released an on-off series, so lights, motor, occupancy, and then just over the past month, we released sort of the next generation here. So what we did was take a step back and say, okay, what are all the features that have been out there? For example, in the H8s, there was a Rapwind full, which that has actually made its way back into this UX product line. So there's kind of where we've been, and now let's dive into the new products. So what's new? Obviously, the display. There's a display on all of these products. It's going to give you real-time readings and feedback. There's improved accuracy and response time. There's larger memory capacity. There's more flexible mounting options. There's visual high and low alarm thresholds. The new logging modes, which are called burst and statistics. All the models that have relative humidity sensors, they are user replaceable. And again, we have temperature and humidity. Throughout this, I may refer to relative humidity as RH, or just humidity. So, and then we have our thermocouple model. In terms of compatibility, this is obviously a big issue out there, and you know, I'd like to say that this product line is compatible with your existing HoboWare Lite and Pro software. You can go to our website for a free upgrade, or you can click on the Help menu, and that will check our website to get the latest version. 3.4 is the latest version. And this is compatible with the U-Shuttle. There is a firmware update that needs to be done. That's the U-Shuttle there. And you can go to our website to get that firmware update as well. So, you know, really if you're using any existing products right now, such as the U9s or the U10s, you'll just be able to upgrade your HoboWare and Shuttle, and you'll be up and running. So let's take a look at the individual loggers, and we'll get into some more details on some of these features here. So taking a look first at the single channel temperature logger, it's the UX100-001 HoboTemp. It has a built-in temperature sensor. We've improved the response time on the thermistor, which is about 8 minutes. As you can see here, it pokes out the top just a little bit. The temperature range will go from -20 to 70 centigrade with an accuracy of plus or minus 0.2 degrees C. I left out a couple zeros there, sorry. That's 84,000 measurements, not 84 measurements. My apologies. And the logger goes for $75. On our next model here, we have the UX100-003. This would be comparable to the U10-003 and the H08. This one does have a limited relative humidity range, which I've highlighted here in red. So this will record from 15 to 95% with an accuracy of plus or minus 3.5% RH. Again, it'll record 84,000 measurements. It does have a user-replaceable RH sensor. Typically, you'll probably want to replace the RH sensor every 1 to 2 years. It really depends upon you know, how often, you know, what sort of environment you're in. But that's typically what we recommend. They drift under 1% per year. So the top panel actually pops off right here, and then you have your relative humidity sensor, which is located right here. Obviously, with the new design and with the thermistor and the RH sensor, the thermistor is also the temperature sensor. With that being out on the surface more, we have a response time of basically 4 minutes on the temperature sensor and under a minute on the relative humidity sensor. And this unit goes for $89. Our other relative humidity sensor, relative humidity logger, the UX100-011, this is comparable to the U12 model. Again, this has an improved response time, a wider relative humidity range going from 1 to 95%, and it is more accurate at plus or minus 2.5%. Again, still having the 84,000 measurements. Here's kind of a side shot of this guy, where you have your temperature sensor, or the thermistor, and your RH sensor. And this cap actually, you twist it about 3/4 of the way, and then it pops off, and that's how you're able to change your relative humidity sensor on this. In terms of the response times, you're looking at about a 4-minute response time on the temperature, and the humidity is actually under 30 seconds. So with that being located out there, it has a really fast response time. And that's in air that's moving basically 2 miles per hour. And this particular unit sells for $125. The next unit, actually what we've done is basically taken this unit here and put the relative humidity probe, relative humidity and temperature sensor out onto a probe. And that probe is 6 feet long. This model is called the UX100-023. This actually, it does cover the full range, 0 to 100%. So if you did need to put this technically outside, it could be put into a solar radiation shield. The sensor, that is, not the logger. The logger's not weatherproof. Or if you needed to snake it into an airstream or into a wall cavity where you wouldn't maybe want to put the whole logger in there, you do have the capability to do that. This particular logger goes for $189. And then finally, the 5th product here is our thermocouple logger, which is the UX100-014M. And this will replace the U12 model. I guess the big improvement here is the accuracy and our ability to support these 8 different thermocouple types. Although it just has a single input, through the software, it's user selectable in terms of which thermocouple type you're going to use. For this particular model, we did actually increase the memory to 208,000 measurements. And we'll get into some of those, why we did that on some of the other logging features here further on in the webinar. And this particular unit goes for $139. So I wanted to, just kind of looking at the folks here who signed up for this, I see that we've got a wide mix of existing Hobo users and new folks. So I kind of wanted to do a bit of a comparison just in terms of where the product line is and where it was, and some of the major improvements that you see here is our relative humidity. Our temperature accuracy has gotten much better. There was one question that came up that said, why do we show 2 decimal points on the display when our accuracy is 0.4? The resolution, the temperature resolution, so that the actual step change that the logger can change in gets out to the thousandths place. So that's why there is more decimal points on the display, and you'll also see that in your data as well. The relative humidity ranges, they've pretty much stayed the same over the years, although we've gotten better down to the 15% on the lower cost model. And obviously we've certainly increased the memory size as time has gone along. Particularly, actually, this kind of jumped out at me this morning. This is our U14 logger, which is our older LCD logger. At the time, it was the only logger with a display. That's actual size, so that's the new unit up against the old unit there. So obviously, in this case, we've dramatically made the product smaller, with keeping actually just about the same LCD size. And we've reduced the cost of the product too, where the U14 was $209. The 2 temperature and relative humidity loggers in the UX series, one's at $89 and another's at $125. The only feature that actually did not come over from this is there is a contact closure on the U14, which could actually trip an audible alarm. And that did not make it into the UX100 series. And finally, for those who may be using our thermocouple logger, again, our accuracy has improved dramatically. We went to a 24-bit processor, which really allows us to record the entire range. Those are sort of industry standard ranges here on the left-hand side. Thermocouples are pretty much available anywhere out there on your omega.com or some of those other websites. And as you can see, that's a big increase here. You know, for example, the type J going from 2.5 degrees centigrade to 0.6 degrees centigrade. So definitely a nice improvement there. So we're going to take a look at some of the features here now. You know, that's kind of the high-level overview of what the loggers do and where they kind of fit into our product line now. But taking a look at the LCD, you know, there's definitely, what you're getting is really just kind of real-time feedback and really let you know what's going on with the logger and what's happening over the course of your deployment here. The LCD does refresh every 15 seconds. Your logging interval can be anywhere from a second to 18 hours, but that LCD is at a fixed rate. You do have the ability to turn it off in HoboWare, and you can put it in what we call a stealth mode, and if you go up and tap any of the buttons there, it'll actually wake up for 10 minutes so you can see what's going on with the logger, and then it'll go back to sleep. And then you're going to get some real-time feedback in some of these new features in terms of whether the logger's set up for a button start or stop, whether you have the statistics logging going, or if there's alarms that you may have crossed a threshold. So we'll kind of get into those features here. The battery life on this, we're still using a lithium coin cell battery, which is a CR2032. That lasts for a year, and the way that that's spec'd out is that your logger is recording once a minute with the LCD on, which is refreshing every 15 seconds, and that's going to last a year for you. Obviously, you know, longer sampling rates and stuff like that can potentially, your logger could last longer, but again, we spec it at a year. Getting into the nitty-gritty, this is kind of the engineering view of the LCD itself. I thought it was important to throw this up here just because, so we could take a look at all the different features here. And so, you know, if you're using a push button start or stop, the appropriate word will come up. If you're clearing alarms, this will pop up for you. Obviously, you can see your battery level here. There's a countdown, so if you have a delayed start, you'll know how long before the logger is going to actually start recording. It'll show you how much memory you've used. If you've selected the wrap when full, this little arrow will show up. Obviously, it'll tell you if it's logging. And then using the right push button, if you have any of the statistics logging or alarms enabled, you'll be able to scroll through and see what some of those readings were. Question was what are you able to log, or can the loggers be synced to a common clock? When you connect your loggers to your computer, they're going to be synced to your computer's clock essentially. So you know, you'll want to make sure occasionally you sync that to the atomic clock. In terms of if you're starting multiple loggers, although HoboWare will combine your data if your time sets, your values are off, so one starts now and another starts 5 minutes from now, and they have different logging rates, and you do have the ability to sync that up. But typically what I recommend is that you do a delayed start. So let's say you're going to record every 15 minutes, and even if you're just going to, you know, deploy the loggers 5 minutes from now, have them so they all start at the same time. It just makes it easier to manage your data, especially if you're going to get into exporting any of that and working with it in Excel. Just makes it a little easier. So that's kind of the LCD here, and again, some of these features will make more sense once we kind of get into them and you see how the features work. So start and stop features. There's always been kind of multiple ways to start our loggers, whether you're starting it immediately, starting it at the next logging interval with a push button, or at a specific date and time. What we've included in this is a stop feature. So You can have the logger stop when the memory fills. When it fills, you can have it never stop recording, which is the wrap when full feature. So basically, if the logger, once it's filled up its memory, it will begin overwriting the oldest data points. You can set it up so you have a push button stop, or you can have it stop on a particular date and time. When you use the push button stop, you actually have the option to have a restart in there. So if you were to potentially doing smaller, mini projects, or you wanted to move it around from room to room to room, you can start and stop the logger as needed. So we're going to spend a little bit of time in some of these new logging modes here that we have, and I'll get into it here. Regular or normal is kind of the way that our loggers have always worked. You set it for a logging interval, say every 5 minutes. It wakes up, it takes a reading, and then it goes back to sleep until it's ready for that next reading. What we've introduced with this product line is a statistics mode where you have the option to record the minimum, maximum, average, and/or standard deviation over the regular logging interval. And I'll dive into a little more details on how that works here in just a second. And then the other new logging mode is burst. And so what this allows you to do is there's two logging modes. There's a slower and a faster mode. So basically, if you hit a particular threshold, you can go into a faster logging mode until it goes below that threshold. And again, I'll dive into the details here in just a second. So the statistics. Recording the max, min, and average or standard deviation over your logging interval. The logging and sampling rates are user selectable. The advantage is basically you can use your memory more efficiently. And the example that I have here is you can set a 30-minute logging interval, and you can set your statistics at a 1 minute sampling rate. So basically what happens is the logger starts. Over that 30-minute time frame, it's going to take 1 minute measurements, and then at the logging interval, so at that 30 minutes, what it will do is make one of those calculations and record that as your data point. So if you're looking at just the maximum or just the minimum or average, and you can do all four of these, including the regular. So you can have that all taken. How does this make the memory more efficient? It seems like you're using up memory, but if we look at this here, really what's happened here is you've only taken 2 measurements, and that's at the 30-minute mark, where the logger has done all these calculations behind the scene, got rid of that information, and then logged it at the 30-minute marks here. So to give you an example, if we were to say all things are equal, and the loggers could record basically 42,000 measurements, temperature and humidity measurements. At a 1 minute logging rate, you would only be able to run for 30 days. By using the statistics mode, your logging duration is going to be much longer. So basically, going back to this example, you would have a 30-minute logging rate, and if you're doing just one of those statistics modes, the logger could run for 1.2 years. So again, it basically makes it more efficient in terms of how you use your memory. And actually, we'll just jump over here. What I'm going to do is jump into the software here in just a second, so you can see how we set this up as well. Some of the feedback that you get on the LCD, with a right button push, it's going to allow you to scroll through some of these statistics modes. So in this case, I was using the thermocouple logger, and you get your instantaneous reading that gets refreshed every 15 seconds. You do a right button push, and it'll show you what the last logged max value was, minimum value, average, and standard deviation. So that's really where the LCD comes into play, where you can kind of get some real-time information in terms of what's going on. And that would be over the last logging interval, basically. So just take a look at how this gets set up. And actually, here's the data. When you read this out here, as you can see, we've got what's called the normal logging mode here, and then you get your max value, the minimum value, the average, and the standard deviation, and that's what that would have been over that past minute. And the way that I had this set up, oops, where'd it go here? Yeah, where we had this set up where I was taking a reading every minute, and my sampling interval was every second. So basically it went through and it took 60 measurements, and then was able to calculate what that max, min, average, and standard deviation reading was over that particular minute. So I'm going to go into the launch menu here and just show you where this is and how we've changed a couple things within the startup menu. And so we come under the logging mode. We have the normal. And then we come down to statistics. I'll just match the example here. But when we come into statistics, this opens up a new menu here. And as you can see, if you were just to take a regular reading with the logger, technically every 30 minutes, technically the logger has enough memory to run for 2.5 years. From there, you start to put on one of the some of the statistic modes. And as you can see, it's going to tell you how long your logger can actually run for. You also then have the ability to adjust your sampling rate. So in the example that I've shown, it was 1 minute, but you could actually have this come down all the way down to 1 second, and basically do that. So as you can see, you know, there's and if you don't like any of the standard drop downs here, there is a custom here as well. And what this does is this basically, the sampling interval, the maximum that can be is half of your logging interval. And so that's how we set up the statistics mode here. And so what we're going to do is take a look at the other logging mode, which is the burst mode. Essentially, this has two logging rates. What I refer to as kind of a heartbeat or a slower logging rate, and then a faster logging rate once a particular threshold has been hit. Now, for example here, one of the experiments that I'm actually doing at home to try to see if I need to upgrade my furnace or not, is basically I've got a thermocouple logger and a Type K thermocouple connected up, and I'm basically triggering this. I'm looking at how long the furnace is on for based upon a particular threshold here, which I set it in as 160 degrees. So just to take a look at that and how this works in HoboWare, what I'll do is turn over to the burst mode. And again, you can set your logging interval. You know, really what you're doing is you're kind of maximizing your memory as well, and really recording only when the information is important to you. So you could take a slower logging mode of, let's say, 12 hours, and then we're going to go into the burst mode. And if I go, let's say, outside of a particular range, this is basically going to record at a faster sampling rate. So we'll have it record every minute. And so what ends up happening down here is we give you a rough idea in terms of how long your logger will actually record for. And the two logging durations would be is if the logger happened to be above that threshold the entire time, 1 minute logging with temperature and humidity enabled, you'd be able to run for about 30 days. Whereas if it was at a 12-hour logging rate, it would run for 60 years. Not to say that it would, but you know, it has enough memory to do that. So that's how you kind of set it up here. And what I want to do is just really kind of show you some of the data here that I collected off of the furnace. There is an indication. You can set this up for both modes, both measurements as well, temperature and humidity. Just set it up for here, and then as you can see, this little burst icon comes up to let you know that that you do have that enabled. What I'll do is cancel out of this, and so looking at my furnace runtime here, let me just reopen this file, and there's a couple things that are worth pointing out. So when you come into the plot setup, before in the past I never really used the events all that much, but we've been doing some things with the burst logging, and then as I talk about the alarms, where you may want to start using these features. In particular, what you can do is mark when the logger goes into the new recording interval. And so basically we hit plot, and obviously we get this graph here. If I zoom in and take a look at what's going on here, and as you can see, I got my temperature threshold. I probably should have set it a little lower. You know, if when I redeploy the logger, I'd probably set it at 120 degrees, because it looks like I was bouncing back and forth here a little bit. But you know, if we take a look and say, okay, once the logger has come up above the 160 degree mark, that's where it's going to start taking the faster sampling rates here of, let's see here, it looks like it's taking it every minute and goes along in these points. So, just really quickly, what I can do, sort of the information that you can get out of this is, well, one, you can see that the wood stove was not run while I was away, and the rest of the family was home. And then when I came back, it seems to be I seem to be the one running the furnace here mainly, or the wood stove. So obviously with the cold here in the Northeast, it's definitely key to kind of do that. And being in a new older house, looking at your furnace run times is kind of key. So I hope this kind of explains how the burst mode works. There's definitely a number of unique applications out there where you can determine whether something's on or off using temperature. So moving along here, we're going to take a look at the alarms. So you can set a high and a low alarm for both channels. The value is going to be shown on the LCD with the right button push. The alarm can be cleared a couple of different ways: by a button push with the measurement going back within range, or by downloading the logger to HoboWare or the shuttle. The alarms will be highlighted within the software. As you kind of saw on this graph here, if it was above your threshold, it would be red. If I had a graph where stuff was below, it would actually be blue. And if everything was in your range, it would be white. One of the nice things here too is that the software, and this is actually a new feature, that it will show the largest outside of range on the display as well as within the software. And terms of how the alarms work, they're directly tied to the LCD. So it's basically the logger's looking every 15 seconds to see if it's gone outside of a particular range, and that's independent of what your logging rate is. So to give you an example of how that works, I know that it seems a little confusing because in the past we've tied everything to a logging rate where this is doing some calculations in the background. So what I did was I set up my deployment so the logger was recording every minute. Again, the alarms are checking every 15 seconds, and my high value alarm was set at 75 degrees, my threshold. So going along here, at 12:03 and 45, an out of range reading was logged, and then at 12:07, oops, there we go. At 12:07, it cleared. Now, one of the nice things that this does here is, in the past, we may have just given you something that said logged here, but you really wouldn't know what the highest value over that time range was. So basically, between over this 4-minute time frame here, we're able to show you that the highest, the largest outside of range at that particular time was 86.9 degrees. And again, I come back to when we're in the plot setup here, where you may start using more of these events in the cases of where you may be using alarms, and we kind of had a neat way to look at, again, something with runtime. What I ended up doing was I took all of the logged data out, and really I was only interested in how long was I above my particular threshold. And so I got rid of all of the normal data up here. I didn't plot that, and what I did was plot the events. And so you come down and you say, okay, I can not within HoboWare, but you do need to export the data to be able to do this calculation, but you do have the capability to do it. So you can basically see, you'll take the difference between 929 and 921, and you'll know that that's how long that particular sensor was outside of range. Here's our export. Actually, that's a good point. This is we've changed the export screen in HoboWare 3.4. Before, you had to export everything. Basically, whatever was on the plot had to be exported, and now we give you the capability to be able to turn this on and off and only export what you want. But essentially, once you've brought your data into Excel, using the alarm data, you can then calculate how long something was potentially out of range. So there's a couple nice features that you can do with the visual alarms. And again, these are visual alarms. There is no audio. There's not a contact closure. You can't flash a light or anything like that. It just comes back to the little icon on the LCD. Showing that it's gone outside of range. So overall, the design of the loggers changed, and really a lot of that's been based upon the user feedback. The older hobos were nice, but they were tough to mount. So what we ended up doing was we added in the 4 rare earth magnets that are circled here on the back that'll stick to any magnetic surface. What we also did was put 2 tabs on the side. We supply, when you get your logger, there's a Velcro tie that's included, but you can also run zip ties through, which are not included. We do include a couple pieces of 3M command strip This is that tape that doesn't take the paint off of walls or ceilings. And then, of course, the small size. This can be mounted just about anywhere, so if you need to keep it out of sight, I think you'll be able to hide these fairly easily. And, as you saw, as opposed to our old, the U14 LCD logger, these guys have gotten a lot smaller. So in summary, this is kind of our next generation Hobo UX100 series. Really a lot of great new features on here. I've personally been working with these, over the past 6 months throughout the whole development period, and having the LCD and all these different features on here, the larger memory, the fact that I can walk around and stick a temperature humidity logger to easily to a lighting fixture in my house is perfect. So, and at the end of the day, these are pretty competitively priced out there on the market. So what I'd like to do now is take your questions, which we've got a bunch that have come in here, and I just need to take a look and read through some of these. In the meantime, what I want to get on the screen here is just, if you're looking for more information in general, definitely check out our YouTube site. This is where we post all of the webinars. This will be available. We've done some other training videos and that sort of stuff. That's my contact information. Our tech support folks are here from 8 to 8 Eastern Standard Time, Monday to Friday. And of course, product application specialists, aka salespeople. If you have any questions, please give them a buzz. So let me take a look back here. And so the first question, can the loggers be used in 100% RH Airstream? All the units cannot, except for the one with the 6-foot probe. That probe's pretty rugged. What I would say is that you'd have to mount the logger on the outside and then run that probe to the inside, and you've got about 6 feet to play with. So that should probably work for you. Again, will this generation of loggers work with your existing U9s and U10 loggers and your existing HoboWare software? Yes, with a free upgrade to HoboWare 3.4 over the web, that'll make it compatible. Again, the memory is 84,000 measurements on all the units except for the thermocouple, which is 208,000 units. What is a U-shuttle? And Matthew, thank you. Let me flip over to our website here real quick. And what a U-shuttle is it's a data transporter, and it's part number U-DT-1. And what this thing will allow you to do is, let's say you've got 10, 20, whatever loggers deployed throughout your facility. You're going to take this one device. What you want to do is sync it up to your computer first so the time clocks match, and then go out to all of your different devices, and you can download the information and restart those in the field with just this, and then you bring the shuttle back to your computer, and you're able to offload the loggers that way. So it's more of a convenience item. It's easier than walking around dragging your laptop around, or in my case, what I've done occasionally is gone out and brought all the loggers back, and then went to deploy them and thought I had them in the right spots, and turned out that they weren't. So the shuttle's actually a very convenient device there. So I got some more questions up here. Please keep on firing them in. So what are our plans for expanding the product line? Well, you can see the writings on the wall and the direction that we're going. So the best that I can say is stay tuned. So there are some existing products out there with some of the U12s. you know, that did not get upgraded, you know, in this this release. So stay tuned, basically. All right, so a good question, and I knew this would come up. So for some of our users who date back to products prior to HoboWare and prior to the U series, and you may have been using some of what we call the hockey puck loggers, the Hobo Pros, or the H08 loggers, and if you were using the Boxcar software. If you're looking to upgrade or go to the UX100 series, what are you going to need? Obviously, there's the cost of the logger, and then there's basically a one-time purchase of HoboWare, which is $99. I would definitely recommend getting the HoboWare Pro. There's more features within that software overall. And if you do go with a data shuttle, what was that, 268? So, you know, that would essentially get you up and running, and actually here's the software as well. We use a pretty standard USB cable. Actually, the same cable that works with my Canon digital camera works with these guys here. So, so if you're upgrading, that's what you're going to basically be looking at. HoboWare does have the ability to open Boxcar files if needed, although HoboWare cannot offload data from those older H series products. All right, we got a couple other in here. Good question. Are the loggers damaged if they go out beyond the temperature range that's specified? Well, I guess it depends upon how far they go. You know, they're rated -4 to 158. When you get into below freezing, you're going to see, and this is pretty typical with most LCDs, that the LCD slows down and it's sometimes not as responsive. And on the upper end, you know, can it go higher? Yeah, it probably can. What might happen to it? You know, the case is plastic, so that begins to melt. Do you hurt the product? Probably not. But again, it really kind of depends upon you know, how high or how cold you're going, and that's where the thermocouple may come into play here, or the unit with the probe. So in terms of the you know, the thermocouple, obviously this logger is mounted someplace where it's you know, within the -4 to 158, and then you know, the thermocouple, the probe itself, can go to these higher temperature ranges. Again, can data from multiple loggers be exported to a single database table? Yeah, definitely. And you can either combine that within within HoboWare first and then export it all, or you can combine that within within your database. A lot of folks end up using Excel. Sorry here, just going through. You guys got a lot of good questions here, so thank you. Yeah, there we go. All right. So the firmware features. Somebody who's probably been around our loggers for a while there. So statistics and averaging and all that sort of stuff, and the burst mode, that's something that's done in the software which is on the logger, which is known as firmware, essentially. Will this be rolled out to some of our older products? At this point, it will not, and really that boils down to we had to go with a completely different processor, you know, to be able to handle some of these, have a lot more, not only memory for storing the readings, but also internal memory. You know, it has to do a lot of calculations on board and a lot of processing power there. So this is definitely not gonna roll out to the not roll out to the older series. Hopefully, at some point, the older products will be upgraded as we go along here. The presentation will definitely be up on YouTube. We typically don't send out the PowerPoint itself, but let me know if that's something that you need. There is a USB port, the mini port on there. There is a cable that's required. It doesn't just directly plug into the USB. A question on the timing. Well, sorry. Yes. Is HoboWare compatible for Macintosh? Yeah, it certainly is. We support both the Windows and the Macintosh platform. So there's a couple caveats there. Obviously, if you have older Macs, I think you need to be running at least 10.6 or above with the Intel processors. But yeah, check out the specifications on our website. But yeah, we are Mac compatible. As far as the timestamps and the syncing of the two clocks and all that, the time accuracy of these is, let me just double check that. I don't know that off the top of my head here. We have the detailed specifications here on the website, and our accuracy is plus or minus 1 minute per month, essentially, and that is temperature driven, which is this particular thing here. So you do have a way to be able to double check those time and date stamps, but overall, you really don't see them drift all that much. Guys got lots of questions. Thank you. Okay, Windows 8. We are compatible with Windows 8, Windows 7, as well as Windows XP. In terms of the replacement sensors and the cost of those guys, they are on the website here, and for this particular model, it's $65. On some of the other models, the 03 model, actually, it's $20. So it really depends upon which model it is and which RH sensor is being used. Again, we do probably recommend replacing those every 1 to 2 years or so. So we've got multiple wireless questions out there. There's no wireless support for these. If you do, we do offer a wireless product line in what we call our ZW series. So I would take a look at those and take a look at this product line here. In terms of spec-wise, it has very similar specifications. It uses a Zigbee type protocol, so I would take a look at that, and actually I would go ahead and give our application specialists a call at the number here, and they'll be able to step you through any sort of questions that you may have on that product line there. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna. I think this is most of the questions here. There's a couple that get into energy monitoring and all that sort of stuff. Richard, on your question there with amperage and CTs and kWh and all that sort of stuff, please give our application folks a call, and they'll be able to step you through the different options there. For anybody that may have questions outside of these new product line here, if you hover over products, we have all of our products here listed by measurements, so you can go in and for kW and kWh you can start to see what's going on there. You know, in terms of what it actually is available. And I just want to take one step back here on the presentation, and there was a question to go back to the accuracies on some of the older products here. And let me just back up and so again, this is kind of what we've been looking at here of the older H08 or boxcar type models, where your accuracy, you know, 0.7 degrees C, 5% RH. I believe the hockey pucks were a little better at 3%. So that's kind of, again, that's really kind of an overview of you know, where the product line has been and where it's at now with the UX100s. Oops. All right. So with that being said, again, a lot of good questions. I'll just throw this out there. Wendy, please call me, and we can go through some of these questions that you have on here. If you have any questions that I did not happen to get to here, let me just drop all the way down and get you my contact information again. And oops. So again, this is how you get a hold of me. You know, our product applications folks with any questions on you know, those different measurements that you might be doing. And again, if there's technical issues, you can get in touch with our technical support staff. So I've used just about all of my hour here. So again, I want to say thank you very much to everybody for participating today, and we'll be sending out a follow-up, and within that follow-up, the PowerPoint, we post these up on YouTube here, which is youtube.com/HoboDataLoggers, plural, all one word, and you can check out a lot of good stuff up there. So again, thank you very much. I appreciate it, and look forward to hearing from you all. Thank you.